Good morning. I'm Rosemary DiTrolio, and you're listening to The Lightwalker's Path. It's a place to develop new insights, find your soul's purpose, hear enlightening conversation, and be inspired. Good morning. This is Rosemary DiTrolio. This is The Lightwalker's Path. Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary. And we're streaming on many platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other mainstreaming platforms. Join me every Tuesday at 10 a.m. for interesting conversation and to find your soul's purpose. So today, I'm going to just give you a little background on what I do and why I love to do it. So I know I've had lots of wonderful guests on, and I have one that may appear today in a little bit. But I wanted to tell you about Reiki, which is an energy modality that I practice. So back in 1996, 97, I learned this energy practice called Reiki. Reiki is a form of energy healing where the practitioner, or the master teacher in my case, places hands on a person in different areas called chakra points. As the practitioner places hands, energy leaves the palms of the hands and goes into the person. If you think about it, let's say you have a child and you want to comfort your child. There's a comforting mother's touch, right? We all know that touch is very healing. However, this particular form of healing does not detract energy from the person sending the energy or the practitioner, but it helps to balance the person's mind, body, and spirit. It's actually used in hospitals right now and in hospice, and they're doing research on it. A lot of it is testimonial type, but they are doing some research on the power of energy healing. And they do find that the energy that comes out of a healer's hands that has been attuned to Reiki and the Reiki system of healing actually has a benefit and is very different than other people's hands who are not trained in energy healing. One of the ways that this works is that the person is very calm and they're laying down. And as let's say me, a practitioner, places hands on the person, the energy flows through the practitioner and the residual goes out the hands. This system of healing has been around for a long time. Even in the Bible, they talk about laying of the hands. This particular system was developed by Yasui, Mikao Yasui, and he lived back in the 20s and I guess 30s. And he's a Japanese man that meditated on the top of Mount Karuna for 30 days. And then this system of healing kind of was given to him. And if you think about it, it's, sometimes when you pray or you open, you get messages, right? So this system of healing kind of dropped down, and he started seeing these unusual symbols, and he memorized them. And he was kind of guided to know that this system of healing can be transferred from teacher to student, and it'll actually help a person feel better and raise their wellness. So he trained the first core of people in this healing system. The very first ones that he trained were his original lineage that spread out. So now Reiki is actually used across the world from his teaching. And it's transformed. There's many different forms of Reiki. There's many different types now that's practiced. I have practiced traditional Yasui Reiki. And then, of course, as I'm working with it for so many years, you bring in other things to it, like crystals and rocks and other things that I do, although traditional Reiki is just simply hands-on healing, and that's it. So there was a woman from Japan. She was a Japanese woman that moved to Hawaii. She married an American, and she apparently got very ill. So she heard about Yasui. So she went back to Japan, and she had a healing done. And apparently it was a spontaneous healing after this session with him. She convinced him that she really wanted to learn. So she was one of the original people that was trained by Yasui. She came back to the United States, and then she started training people. And from there, it spread worldwide. So now there's different forms of Reiki that are practiced, and it's a form of energy healing. You can also learn more. You just Google IARP, which is the International Reiki Practitioners Association. I'm a member of that. There's lots of information. There's also misinformation. So when I train people, I tell them, don't go Googling everything, because you're going to find so many different contrasting bits of information that may not be the way that I was trained or the way that I will train my people. So one of the things I tell my students to do is, really work on clearing yourself, work on being the best that you can be, learn the best that you can, and then practice what you learn. And if they have questions, my students know that they can reach out to me and they can ask me questions. I've heard all kinds of crazy things through the years. I've had people, say to me, Ro, I worked on this person. All of a sudden, I'm seeing who they used to be in a childhood and what they did. And I heard this and I saw that. So what happens when a master teacher attunes a student is they go through a clearing. So when I attune a student, this means initiate them to the Reiki healing system. It's not simply teaching them the system. It's opening up a healing channel in them so that they can harness more light, they can be grounded. And one of the processes that a master teacher does is you actually loosen up karma. It doesn't mean you can get rid of someone's karma. You can't fix someone's path, but you can loosen it. So these life lessons will bubble up for the student to see them and begin to clear them through conscious effort, through learning, and through clearing practices. So one of the things that begins to happen when I attune a new student is they begin to resonate with a higher vibration. So we talked about vibration in one of my earlier podcasts. Vibration is the energy field that you house in your aura, in your energy that's around you and in your body. So one of the things that happens is the vibration of the body raises and other things begin to happen. A person that I train sometimes will start eating differently. They may start drinking water. Another unusual thing is if they have any sort of hidden underlying gifts, let's say they're already intuitive, that will begin to open. If they already dream a lot, their third eye begins to open. So they begin to develop a stronger amount of gifts that are already there that are now clear to come up to the surface and bubble up. If you learned Reiki in Japan, you would not even be allowed to go to second level unless you already had gifts that started to open. So in my practice, I usually tell my students, I will not attune you to the next level until you've cleared yourself 3 to 6 months. 6 months being, it used to be my minimum, but people are clearing and doing more practice now. So sometimes I will allow them to learn after 3 months if they really feel ready. One of the things that I always tell people is when you listen to your intuitive insight, you will know when you're ready and when you're not ready. If you have a hesitancy, if you feel like, oh no, I can't quite do it. If something comes up last minute that blocks you, that means that you're not ready yet to go ahead. And it's funny how the universe works is when you are ready to do something new, sometimes you're challenged right before you do it. I remember every time I learned a new level in Reiki or was ready to do something, for spiritual growth, something would be right there in front of me. A car accident, trouble with my car, not feeling well. Something would happen right before. And I would have a choice of saying wait or move forward. And oftentimes I would push through and move forward when I knew that it was the right thing to do. Other times I knew I had to wait. And that's where when you begin to listen to your intuitive insight, you begin to understand that this is the important thing you need to do as a healer. Other important lessons that I've learned from Reiki is that a healer cannot fix you. We cannot fix other people. This is really an important message because many of us that are helpers, we want to fix other people. We want to have them do it our way, and you can't do that. Every person is on their own path. They have their own timeline for when they need to learn something. And sometimes you have to go through a difficult lesson in order to transform and move ahead in your life. So if you deny a person a lesson by trying to, fix it for them, they will not learn the lesson they need to learn for their spiritual growth and for their life. So it's really important that we honor other people's path and journey. And then by doing so, you also will honor yourself as a healer. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you is that the attunement process can only happen in person. And that's my strong belief. That's the way I was trained. I know people will say, oh, I will attune you on the internet. You could not be attuned that way. Yes, you can get long distance Reiki. You could receive energy. But the attunement process is very different. You have to be in the person's energy field. You have to literally ground them like a lightning bolt. You have to place these symbols into their aura and stick them in there real tight so they stay. And the person has to be in your physical place. That's why I can teach about different things, but I will not attune long distance because you can't do that. So a person has to be in New Jersey. They have to be in my right in front of me, and that's when I attune them to the system. There's a couple other things too that in a minute we're gonna break pretty soon. But the other thing I want to tell you is that you should not learn 2 levels, or gosh, for heaven's sakes, 3 in one weekend. I've reattuned and retrained people that had no idea what they were doing because it takes time to integrate all this new learning. So you do need, from level 1 to level 2, 3 to 6 months at least. All right. And you have to give yourself that grace and that time, because rushing doesn't help it any. Rushing does not make you more powerful. Rushing actually is very counterintuitive to the healing process and can actually work against you. I've retrained people that were not only confused, but really the attunement didn't even stick because they told me I was either, I learned on the internet, or they didn't see the healer in person. So we're coming up on a sponsor break. This is Rosemary, Lightwalker's Path, and we'll be right back. Stay with me, okay? Welcome back. This is Rosemary. This is the Lightwalker's Path, and I am discussing energy healing today and Reiki. And one of the things I was saying is that you need to be trained properly when you're doing energy work, and you also need to be in a really good personal space for yourself. Many times, if you are not in a good headspace, if you have not done your own inner work, you're not going to be the best, most clear guide for those people that you are working on or training. If I'm not feeling well, I will not book a client in. I have to be in tip-top good shape so that I will give my client the best that I can do. I also do angel communication, and I do readings for people. And again, I can be a very clear channel when I am a clear channel. If I am not feeling well, if I'm not in a good headspace, I do not channel, I do not work with a client, and I do not give advice unless asked for. So the same thing goes for any kind of energy work. It's really, really important to keep yourself in a way that you're clear. So some of my clearing practices that may be helpful for you, even if you are not doing Reiki or if you're not a healer, are just general maintenance kind of things. One of the ways that I really keep myself clear, keep my energy field clear, if I'm working with people, if I'm out in public, if I need to feel more centered, is I take an Epsom salt bath. And you can take a cup of regular old Epsom salt, put some essential oils in there, just make sure that they are pure essential oils. I actually distribute Young Living oils because I think they're fabulous, and I've used them for 30 years. So I have, a link to them on my site. But Young Living oils are the ones that I use. However, if you have other ones that are really good, you can throw a drop or 2 in also. So Epsom salt in a bath, soak for about 20 minutes. That will clear your energy field. And it also is a very good source of magnesium, helps your muscles, helps you calm down, and it's great before bedtime. Another clearing practice that I use, besides a wonderful bath, if you have a shower, you could take the shower and just with intention, imagine that the energy is running down your body and that anything that's stuck on your energy field is being cleared off of you. That's a really helpful way to make sure that you are staying clear. Another clearing practice is going out in the woods or in nature or by trees. Yes, I have hugged trees. Trees are really clearing. They help us to ground. They help us to have that vibrant energy. So if you are feeling out of sorts, take a walk. Go into the woods. Actually feel the grounding points on the bottom of your feet. Open up and imagine roots, just like the tree, going down to the center of the earth. Other wonderful practices are pulling weeds, gardening, getting your hands in mud, and also, yeah, when you're making clay, that's a very grounding practice to do. And grounding is just the process of being in your body and centered. So, as healers or as people that are out in the world, what I tell my students is you want to be open from here up. So you want the crown to be open because you want to allow energy in when you're working with a client, but you want to be well grounded like a tree. Otherwise, you're going to be forgetful and you're not going to have yourself together. So grounding and openness are two really important things. The other interesting thing is when I'm working on someone and my hands are placed, I will also get a feeling for these energy points called chakra points. Chakras are actually, if you do yoga, you'll kind of have an idea what that word means, but those are nerve bundles that are on the body. So here, front and back, under the breastbone, front and back, belly button area, front and back, pelvic area, front and back, and the bottom of your feet. Those are all chakra points. Chakras have nerve bundles that also relate to muscles, nerves, and organs of the body. So let's say a person has grown up and they were not allowed to speak up. What happens is the throat will close down, and you might get a very tight throat when you talk, or you may be a screamer or a yeller, which is the throat out of balance. So people that yell a lot are out of balance. They have an overactive throat chakra. Underactive, they're afraid to speak their truth and afraid to communicate. When it's in balance, the throat chakra is able to express emotion. The throat is really important for a lot of different things. And one of my friends who's a singer, she was on my program a couple of weeks ago, my friend Ruth, she does sound healing. And one of the things she does is she works with the voice to help clear emotion. She also works with the bowls. And those are all ways to help the body open. So if a person has a shut down heart area, maybe they've been hurt a lot in their life and they've had trauma. One of the ways to clear that chakra, for a person, if they're not going to a person doing energy work, would be to express the emotion by speaking of it. And that's kind of the theory behind some of the communication you have when you go to a counselor or a psychologist, is that you're speaking out your secrets, your truth, what you want to say that you've repressed. Repressed emotions affect the body. Repressed emotions are held in the muscles and the joints. Repressed emotions are those things that you want to say that you can't. So it's really important to be able to communicate with your throat, to communicate your emotions, okay? So the throat is very healing to be able to open up those emotions and feelings. If a person has a stomach chakra that's out of balance, okay, and Reiki is one of those things that can help, balance these areas of the body that are off. Okay, it doesn't fix it, but it helps to balance by sending energy. So let's say your stomach is out of balance, and it might be someone who might be very constipated or get stomach aches or just feel off. The stomach area is affected, and that affects the digestion as well. So sometimes those two go hand in hand. Many of our mood chemicals are made in the gut. So if your stomach is out of balance, chances are your mood will also be out of balance. People that are drinking a lot, their stomach gets destroyed. The lining of the stomach gets affected. So that also will affect mood. It'll affect skin. It'll affect a lot of different things, and eventually the liver and other organs. Another good clearing practice is to make sure that you are drinking enough fluids and water during the day. You could even put lemon in it, which also clears your liver and will help your body. So drinking water is another very good clearing practice. When I get done working on a client, if they're having a Reiki session, I give them some water. Okay, so energy is energy. It's all around you. It's in everything. It's in everyone. Reiki is one of the energy modalities that's very healing. There are many others. I particularly love Reiki, but I also like to go for massage because I think touch is very healing. There are other forms of energy and other forms of energy healers that do different things, and they all have their own purpose and their own way that they work. Okay. Emotions are held in the body. Oftentimes, when there's an imbalance in the body, it'll affect someone. So let's say someone comes to me and they say, oh, my shoulders are always hurting me. I don't know why. Unless they're carrying a heavy backpack on one side or a 10-ton pocketbook, sometimes the shoulder area will hold the emotion of carrying burdens for other people. Many people have back pain. The back is your support system. So people with a lot of back issues will often have a feeling that they are not being emotionally supported by those people in their family group or their loved ones. The mid back is actually opposite of the confidence center, which is under your breastbone. And that may be affected if the heart is out of balance. Now, a heart out of balance doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a heart attack. It just means that your heart has been hurt. And we hold a lot of emotions in our heart. If you research heartmath.org on the internet, you're going to find that our heart actually has a pattern to it. When it is calm, it has a swervy pattern. And when it is in distress, the pattern is quite different. It's more jagged. So your heart center needs to be in good balance. It also needs to have a balance of giving and receiving. Many people that overgive often feel resentful because they're not getting what they're giving back in balance. If you are withholding and very shut down, chances are your heart center has been injured and you're trying to self-protect, and it'll affect relationships in your life. So what I'm saying is, as a healer, we need to keep our own systems in balance. And as a person working on someone who needs healing, you need to be in balance. Oftentimes, my new healers will be very surprised that if they have an issue, the next person they work on will have the same issue. It's like you're mirroring each other. So as you help that person, you're also helping yourself. Okay. Reiki is one of those methods that it came in after, well, it came into the hospitals after therapeutic touch. Therapeutic touch was one of the original ones that I've heard about. Barbara Brennan and her technique came into the hospital, and the nurses were trained back in like the 70s and 80s. I learned Reiki a long time ago in 1995, 96, right? So it was just beginning to be a word that people started using, like, oh, I heard about this Reiki thing. Now it's all over the place, and it's used in hospitals, and it's used in hospice, and it's used for pain management. So you're going to see it's much more common now, as well as many other of these healing modalities that for years were sort of hidden or poo-pooed. Think of acupuncture. All right. Acupuncture has been around for thousands of years. Yet it's only just starting to be like, oh, there's really something to acupuncture. You could really use this to help people. So now it's more common, which is really good, because there's going to be, I think, in the near future, a real joining of alternative and traditional medicine. I think once we get that system integrated, you're going to have the best of both worlds. You'll be able to use, whatever the alternative is along with medical, and that would be a phenomenal system to bring in for healers and for the medical system. Okay. All right. I wanted to tell you about some other things after we're going to have a break pretty soon. But one of the things that I always do, and I do this before I work with a client, is I set an intention. So even when I meet with a client to do a reading, or if I'm going to channel, or if I'm going to do a workshop, or I'm going to attend a workshop, I always set an intention. So intention is really just a mindset that you are setting for yourself to be open, to be available, and to have the other person's highest good in mind as you work. It's not a good thing to assume you know what a person needs. So even when I'm working on someone and I'm doing Reiki, I don't force my will. I just allow. Okay? So we're coming up on a sponsor break really soon. This is the Lightwalker's Path. And when we return, I'm going to put you through a quick relaxation exercise. Okay? And we'll be right back. Hi there. This is Rosemary. This is the Lightwalker's Path. And welcome back. Today I was talking about energy medicine and how it works for you. I mentioned your chakra points and how they affect your not only your health but your organs and your body in general, and how we hold emotion in many parts of our body. And I said when we come back, I was going to put you through a light relaxation where you could kind of check in with your own body. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is put your feet flat on the ground. And what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you something that I do with all my healers, and I do it before I teach angel communication with my clients. And what I want you to do is just take a deep breath in and out, and just relax. Check in with your body and just see if any area of your body feels tight or uncomfortable or stuck or seems to be heavy. If so, take another deep breath and breathe energy into that spot of your body that doesn't feel relaxed. From the bottom of your feet, imagine deep, heavy roots going down, down, down to the center of the earth. I want you to see a bright purple light around you, burning off any energy that's stuck around your body in your energy field, because we want you to be clear and open. I want you to imagine a ball of sunlight shining over your head. See this sunlight drop down to your third eye, which is the spot between your eyebrows, down to your throat, down to your heart, and let it shine out around you. This energy field is your healing field of light. Now we're going to set intention. An intention is something that sets how we're going to receive energy. So I would like you to set your own intention, and I'll give you a few ideas. The intention might be to accept with grace energy, to accept with grace change in your life, to open to your emotions and the emotions of other people, to give them grace so that you will also receive grace. Set your intention to feel well, happy, and energized this day. You might want to put in to do a good deed today for someone, even if you smile at someone that you don't know, or do a kind gesture that is unexpected. Call a friend. Do something that will energize you, but will also help someone else. Now do a quick check-in on your body. Take a deep breath in and out, and just see if any area of your body still feels like it needs some energy or some love. If so, you could place a hand on the areas that feel tight. You can give yourself a hug. And I also want you to give yourself forgiveness, because we all make mistakes in life. So you might say to yourself, I forgive you, I accept you, you're doing the best you can, bring this light into the world, all is well. And then slowly you can open your eyes. If you want to share something, you want to, I don't know, message me or let me know something, you could send me a message at info@rosemaryd.com after the broadcast. One of the things that is really important is when we have judgments, oftentimes, and it's impossible to say don't have judgments. We all do. You go in the world and, before you know it, you're like, oh, I'm judging. All right. If that happens for me, what I usually do is I stop and I say, I'm sorry, I give you grace. Or I detach from that emotion and say, I send you love. Whatever it is. And that could even be a prejudice. It could be an emotion of distaste or dislike. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends with everyone in the world. It just means you have to give grace and acceptance toward other people. Because in that way, you will also have this energy of kindness around you. Perceptions shift when you change your perspective. So let's say you usually find yourself judging a person or a group or a situation. Instead of prejudging, step back and say, today I will see every human in the eyes of the angels or in the eyes of my soul. It's impossible to have a prejudice, a dislike, I hate when you are seeing someone through the eyes of your soul. We're all souls in a physical form. Even though we're poured into different containers, we all come from source. We're all part of light. So once you accept that idea, you will not have the ability or the need to marginalize a group or look down on anyone for their choices, who they are, what they look like, what their group is. It won't matter to you because we're all here on our own personal journey. The other thing too is I guess I haven't. This is my judgment. I do judge people that are very self-righteous, and there's a reason. I don't think I have the right to judge someone's choices. So if someone is making a choice, unless it's harmful to themselves or to other people, I can say I don't like that, that's fine. But let's say someone is making a choice and it doesn't fit with your beliefs in particular. You really have to be careful because that person may have been going down that path for their personal growth or the way they came in, to learn a certain lesson, and you don't know that. We don't know what's behind a person's soul journey. So therefore, the best thing to do, especially if you're angry with someone, is to say a prayer for them and say, I'm sorry I don't understand your point of view, but I pray for you anyway. And that releases you from judgment, and you're allowing that person the ability to do what they need to do without feeling your judgment on them. And that's really the best way to kind of shift perspective, because perspective makes the difference. It makes your choices, it makes your path. Another thing that I would tell you to do to raise your vibration is to turn off the news. Nothing earth-shattering is going to happen, most likely. And if so, you can read headlines. And if something is like, oh my goodness, I should really read that, do it. But I find that a lot of the news that's out is very skewed. It's very negative. Good news rarely makes the news. So one of the things I love to do instead is I love to listen to uplifting things. And it's funny because I don't listen to Christian music, although I don't have anything wrong with it. It's just not my vibe. But for me, I listen to like upbeat dance music. I will listen to Mozart. I will listen to calm meditation music if I feel like I want to, or rock music because I love that too. I will take a walk. All right. I will tune out the chatter. I never involve myself in gossip or down talking anybody. So if someone's gossiping, I either change the subject or I just kind of don't really respond because that's not helpful to my higher good or the other person. I also think of, in nature, a bird doesn't worry and obsess if it's going to find a worm in the grass. It just goes finds the worm. So obsessing over what you need to do next, just do it. Just do that next right thing. And that's great advice, Don't obsess over, oh my goodness, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just do it. It'll be fine. A tree doesn't worry about the rain, right? So if you get wet in the rain without your umbrella, enjoy it. Enjoy the trip. And a bee doesn't worry if it's going to find a flower. It just does, right? Um, so declutter to keep your mind clear. One of the things that I always tell you to do, and I take my own advice on this too. So before bed, so that I can sleep better, sometimes I have to do a mind dump. I got to get a piece of paper and I got to just write my thoughts down. I have to dump out all the junk that I've had in my brain so that at 2 a.m. it doesn't wake me up and say, hey, Rosemary, you're worried about this. Remember this issue? No, that's a waste of my energy and I won't be able to sleep. So I have certain things I do before bed that calm me down and, doing a mind dump, writing down my thoughts and knowing that in the morning I have them all in this paper. If I want to spend, 10 minutes on a pity party and next morning, I can do it. It's here. Or I can just rip it up and throw it in the garbage and don't worry about it. So, some of those things really help. Mind clutter clutters your thoughts. And if you want to be clear, you can't be overly busy in your head. Now, I'm a pretty busy person. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of words. It's probably why I love to write, because I want to get these words out so they're not going to be in there rolling around all the time. Do what you love. If you have something that really pulls you, that you want to do, that you love to do, do it.
Life is short. We don't know how long our time is. We hopefully, I always say to my sister, said, I want to live to 100, but I want to be healthy. You know, um, you don't know how much time we have on earth. And I want my mission on earth to be helping people. And I want to send love to people that I don't know. And I want to get the word out that everyone has a path and a mission. And that's what makes me happy. It makes me thrilled to write. I love to write books. I have like 8 published right now, and I find joy in it. One of the newest ones, if you would look, I have a lot on Kindle as well. I would love to encourage you to look up my books. This is the proof copy, Wisdom, Sages, and Angels. And this one is, you can see it's a workbook. It's got lines in it. I have a Kindle version as well, but the workbook's nice because you can write in it. So, Wisdom, Sages, and Angels, Rosemary DiTrolio. It's easy to find on my website, rosemaryd.com, or you can go to Amazon. But I'll tell you, I'm under a rock behind a tree on Amazon. It's hard to find my stuff unless you know where to look. So I have Wisdom, Sages, and Angels. I have Divine Messengers, which was my first republished spiritual book that's been out for a while. And the other one is Inspired by Angels, a book from the heart, which is also a workbook for spiritual growth. So I have 3 of them that are for spiritual growth. I have 3 middle grade fiction for ages 11 to 14. I have 3 primary books, and I'm working on other ones now too, for other levels. So I want to encourage you that if you love to write, go do it. One of the things that I always hear people say is, I'm not good at blah, 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 blah. I can't do art because blah, 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 blah. I can't write because, when I was 7, my teacher told me I wasn't good at it. It doesn't matter. What you do is just start. If it's the process of creativity and creating, you are creating positive energy. You are upping your vibration. It's a beautiful thing if you can use your gifts and just do what you do. If you don't know something, you could get help. For instance, join a writer's group if you always wanted to write. Pair up with another person, have them read your stuff. Right now, one of my friends, Gina, is reading my YA book for me, and she's great giving me suggestions and all that. So you can pair up with a buddy. Okay, we're coming up on a sponsor break. This is the Lightwalker's Path, and I'll be right back for a last segment with you. Don't go away. Love to hear from you. Hi, this is Rosemary, the Lightwalker's Path, Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary. So in this last little segment, I'm going to answer a few questions that I always ask my clients and my guests. So people wonder and they assume I'm an extrovert. And at this point in my life, I am. I became sort of extroverted in my mid 30s. I was extremely quiet up until 23, 24. I wanted to be a school teacher. So I knew that if you are an introvert and you're trying to teach kids, they will eat you alive. So I had learned that I had to pretend like I was confident when I was really very quiet. And after a while, I became really confident and I had this extroverted personality thanks to my dad. My dad was an extrovert. But that's one question I ask people. So I would say that I was an introvert and I became an extrovert later in life. Okay. Who influenced me a lot? My father. My father was an incredible man. He had a wonderful sense of humor. He was very loving. He was very accepting of everybody. He did a lot of fundraising for the Elks when he was an Elk. He was a really great person. My mom taught me how important education is. My mom influenced me as well. My mom was a mover and a shaker, and she didn't let anything stand in her way. So my little tiny Italian mom was a tiger. So I often talk about the influence of my parents in my life. People ask me how I connect with spirit. And one of the ways that I've always kept since I've been really young is I say prayer. And it doesn't have to be a traditional prayer. Even though I was raised, Roman Catholic, I just say, God be there. And I talk to God as if I'm talking to a friend. God, please bless me, help me. Whatever prayer you use, it really doesn't matter. It matters that you keep this connection going for yourself. My main focus when helping a client is to show them non-judgmental acceptance and love and to make them feel accepted and whole. And if I can do that just in a small way, I've done what I wanted to do. I really love working with people. So as a teacher, I taught for 32 years. I always tried to do this for students, and I hope I was able to be successful. I loved teaching. So the process of teaching people, but making them feel empowered, has always been a really important step for me in my life. Mentors. When I learned Reiki, my friend Vivian, she was my mentor, and she taught me the Reiki system, and I really admire her as a person. I have wonderful friends. Friends have always been there for me in times when I am struggling in my own life. What quality do I wish people had more of? Openness and acceptance for other people. I still, to this day, I do not understand war. I don't understand how someone could hurt another person intentionally, and I really don't understand a prejudiced mindset. So those kind of things don't really resonate with me. People that resonate with me are usually open-minded, and if they aren't, if they're willing, that's awesome. So people that are on a path for my business, I love when someone is a newbie and they're just stepping in, they're like, "Help me, I don't know what I'm doing. I see this or I know that and I don't know how I know it and I don't know what to do with it." I love to guide people and help them. I also work virtually. So if someone is not in New Jersey and they can't come to a workshop in person, oftentimes I'll offer a workshop that is virtual. I have worked with people for readings virtually. I don't need to be in their state to do a reading with you. I also offer a discovery session, which is a free 30-minute session that you can book on info@rosemaryd.com and ask for a certain time, and I could meet with you. And you can ask questions about services that you see. I have also sessions that are 30 minutes, 45, and 1 hour just for guidance. That's not channeling, but that's just intuitive guidance and life direction. I also do channeled readings, which are written before I even meet with a client. I just need to hear your voice and you ask a few questions, and then 2 weeks later, your reading's done, it's written down, I meet with you, and then I send you the reading. I've been doing those since 1993. I also teach Reiki and do varied workshops. For instance, what is your intuition? How do you make it stronger? And things like that. Another thing that I do is I have self-study courses that you can try out. One of them is actually free right now on my website. It's called Dip Your Toe In, and it's for the very first step of just seeing what's out there so you can research on your own and just kind of see what draws you or what your interest level is. It's going to be free for a while. I'm going to keep it up probably till summertime or for the next maybe month or two. And then I have other courses that you can learn on there, including creativity and writing. So I want you to explore my courses. You can explore my books. And these are all ways that you can help yourself to grow in spirit and to learn more about what you are interested in and what you want to grow and what you want to learn. From that point, you could decide, your next steps. But first, you got to take the first step, right? Okay. Nurture relationships with people and take them seriously and always have integrity. In my business, one of the things that's really important to me is high integrity. When someone works with me, they know that I'm going to care for them gently and I will not hurt them. I will be very gentle with their emotions and their feelings. And no, I am not a counselor, but I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people through the years of not only teaching for 32 years, working with parents, working with kids with issues, working with adults through my business since 2000. I do have a lot on my fingertips to help people. I have a master's of education and I have a specialization in reading, and I am a creative person. So I try to bring all these things into my clients' work. So if you want to contact me, rosemaryd.com, info@rosemaryd.com. I have been your host. This is the Lightwalker's Path. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope I've inspired you. And join me next week. I have a pre-record with Cara Fergali. It's going to be Food, Mood, and Joy. She's a fascinating person, and I had so much fun interviewing her, and I know her. So please join me next week at 10 Eastern, and join me and watch what's going on. You'll really love her. And thank you so much for coming today.
I'm your host, Rosemary DiTrolio, and you've been watching and listening to The Lightwalker's Path. Learn about my workshops, sessions, courses, and more at info@rosemaryd.com. My website, rosemaryd.com, Hands of Light by Rosemary. Have a blessed and beautiful day.